Hey, I'm Erick Dominguez, and this is my last video for social responsibility and citizenship. Well, this time we have to pick a book, and the one what I have chosen is Seeing Yourselves by Raymond Taylor. Before starting, well, well, before starting to talk about this book, I want to talk a little bit about who is Raymond Taylor. Well, I had never listened about him, but he's a quite interesting person because he has done too many things and he has learned and he has written too much. Well, to start, he studied geriatric medicine at Oxford, so it means that it comes from a quite important university. And after 4 years of working on that, he decided to specialize his major or his mm, objective in gerontology. What is it? Gerontology is the science of the well, it's not actually a science, it's more like a philosophical context, field of study where elder people is the main the main subject of interest. And gerontology studies economic, political, social, psychological, spiritual, biologic aspects in order to treat the fact of being older and get older and how that people is impacted by the environment in all those fields. So it's interesting because apart from that, he has written more than 30 books about the philosophy of mind, metaphysics, philosophical anthropology, cultural criticism, and he has a kind of thinking in how our mind works due to artificial intelligence. So it means that it's important. Well, as you can see, he's a quite prepared person, and in 2019, something like that, he gave some seminars, 8 seminars about humanism in the Charles University in Prague. So once he did these seminars, he found that there were some bases of his most recent book, which I have learned within this partial, or well, for this final delivery. The book in question is Seeing Ourselves, Reclaiming Humanity from. Seeing Ourselves, Reclaiming Humanity from God and Science. What does it mean? Well, he explains it through the whole book. It's a quite long book, quite long. It has 10, 10, 11, 10, 11 chapters, so it's a long, but it's quite interesting. I want to anticipate that I've chosen this book because I have a quite issue with religion, according to Schopenhauer and Nietzsche and all this kind of philosophical way, which is called existentialism, that says that everything that happens in the world comes from what the human do or do not, and the fact of give this ability of this capability to do things to a higher figure or a divine figure, it causes that the human lost his proper or his own creative power of himself, or even losing the confidence in itself. So why, if we are able to create a lot of things and we are able to think and we are able to do and don't do, why do we have to give that power or that force to a good, I mean, to God, something, sorry, God, and even in everyone, in every religion around the world, worldwide. So that's why I have chosen this book. Now, the book starts by defining what do we conceive as humanism. Well, the humanism, I'm going to talk about this at the end of the book, but in the main thing with this conscious about the religion has done or hasn't done through the years, it says that, I'm going to say in Spanish because it is quite powerful. Even though the book is written in English, I think that in Spanish we can conceive it better. So, humanism, más que alejar al humano de la creencia religiosa, remendar el daño causado por las instituciones religiosas. Well, and it means that we have to create a kind of better bond between how the religion is believed, how it's lived, and how we conceive ourselves due to the religion. And it comes another question for the author, which is Raymond Tellis. He says, okay, if I don't accept that God created us, it reduces me to think that I am part of the nature. And he says, okay, it has passed, well, too many years from that, and he talks about Darwin, but he says, why do we keep trusting on structuralism? The structuralism was as a kind of science which says either it is or it is, no more. There is nothing between them. It's just this or that. So, if we are not created by God, why are we nature? What happened with that? So it's quite interesting because the book says the author, that's the author's thesis, which is reading within this book. Okay, apart from that, he says, okay, what does humanism do? The first chapter talks about it, and long story short, it says embraces agnosticism or atheism, and between other things, we have an individual moral autonomy. We should make our own judgments rather than handing over responsibility to an external authority. And it means it is related to God, in order to why can't I think this stuff just because God says that you can do. So that's the kind of external authority that humanism calls. And he proposes a kind of humanism 2.0, another kind of secularism humanism. And it talks about a non-religious ethical life stance to essential elements of which are commitment to human well-being and a reliance on reason, experience, and naturalistic view on the world. So it's a quite more holistic side of the world, not only because of God and not only because me or whatever. It's an holistic point of view. And he says that, okay, we are going to create a kind of analogy. Okay, if God exists, why does he allow that evil exists? So if God is everything, why, if God is good, why does he approve that evil exists? So it's a kind of paradox that says, okay, God, we are more than you because we have the capability to reason, and with the reason we have this conclusion about you. And he says that we have to rethink about religion, because the religion has caused a long 20 years around the world: persecution, intolerance, brutal suppression, uh, subservience of women, and holy wars. And how does it affect the future? Well, that we have learned about our ancestors, and they have learned from their ancestors, and those kind of behaviors have been taught and taught and taught to the next generation until our days. So we have those behaviors quite in ourselves. Okay, well, I have noted too many parts. Sorry. Okay. Um, he says that this part of belief that we have, we can think that we are amazing. So I can accept that I am the best thing on the life. So I have to say thanks God for making me the best thing of the life. And he says, okay, if you think that you are better, you are wrong, because at the end, we are just organisms that have that metabolize and reproduce as any other organism. We are animals as any other animals. We eat other organisms. And there is a quote quite interesting that says, you tend to approach those things to eat and avoid things that you want to eat you. Sorry, and avoid things that want to eat you. So it's real. You are a vertebrate as any other vertebrate. You are mammal as any other mammal. So it means that at the end you are not more special than others. And it means that we have an organic body. And then there is where start the fact of we are not special. It talks about how the naturalism has taught us to think that we are pieces of nature, and it's not true. Thanks to the nature, we have the evolution that we have right now, but we are not that. In fact, it's like a quite interesting philosophical stuff. And he says that we are suffering something that he defines like Darwinitis. This Darwinitis is the idea that persons are just evolved organisms. And no, we are more complex than that. And it says the fact of our ancestors had learned to cook means that we were able to get more calories, and with those more calories, we get bigger cell brains, and as a result, bigger brains. And that means that we can develop more abilities, more skills to come to the Homo sapiens to Australopithecus, no, sorry, the Australopithecus to Homo sapiens, and from Homo sapiens to Homo erectus, for example. So, thanks to the cooking and the nature, we could have this evolve. So, if we come to this example, to we are not as special as we thought we are, there are two facts that provokes us this. One, reducing us as a pieces of nature, that it's not true at the end, and deny the truth of other most powerful theory in biology. And he says, okay, the Origin of Species, written by Darwin, was done in 1859. So there was nothing of technology to understand us by inside our evolution. He said, okay, we have this similar to the apes. Probably we are apes evolved. No, there are too much more than that. So we have to break that ideology that God created us and created us, and Darwin says we are part of nature, and even we are more than that. Well, why does this book what is the main point of this book? At the end, one of the main points is Institutionalized religion amplifies hostilities between human groups, and there are more than two 200 religions around the world spreading this kind of ideology and spreading these messages or these similar messages. At the end, they have different names, but there are the same concepts. So the world is, well, the hostility around the world and around the human groups is about the religion spreading and his ideologies. And the book is called Claim Back the Humanity because we can we must start thinking about what do we have to offer to the world, and with those that I have to offer, make the world a better place, more than a god that is telling me what do I have to do, or more than the nature telling me that I am a ape evolved. More than that, just because you are human and you are connected with more humans, we all must think about how can we create a better place. How can we become the world in a better place? That's the main point about this book. And he says that probably if we start thinking about this, or if we start thinking like a godless universe, our 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 desire our desire of create a better world just because I want to create it could be more genuine that if I do it because God is telling me to do it. So it's quite interesting. And it says at the end, we are not pieces of the nature. We are not just something created or done by God. And what do we have for us and to offer to the world in order to create a better place? It's quite interesting. So break these social constructs around the world and we can start to think about us and how we are related with others. Thank you.